manage. I was listening to the president 2 days ago or yesterday when he was addressing United Nations and he was asking for debt forgiveness. My question is that why he was borrowing money? He was borrowing money so that they will cancel debts? From the body language of the president, you might say you're on the right path. From the body language, initial body language of INEC, you might say you're on the right path. But with the feelers we are getting now about the PVCs, one begins to doubt, because this is Nigeria where things happen anyhow. Recently, Ogochinyere came up with an allegation, not just an allegation, there were proofs, because he was on air with proofs that a lot of people registered from ID cards. There were some registration from even picture frames, and foreign names were registered in the INEC portal. That's one. And secondly, there's this other allegation that that was why they went to court. You mentioned about some lawyers going to court. That INEC did not allow people that were doing online registration to finish their registration. So they registered halfway and INEC cut off the registration. And people are saying INEC should have allowed them, since they were registering online, to finish their registration so that they can be able to vote in 2023. However, there's the issue of PVCs. People are saying they have not collected PVC. But I think INEC said PVCs will be ready for October. So there's still time for people to go for their PVCs in October. That is, if INEC will live up to their billing. However, if you check in Africa and even in the US, INEC or electoral body of any nation takes a cue from the body language of the president. So I don't know, because this is a country where we've been told a lot of things in the past, and at the end of the day, the reverse is what we're seeing. So one does not know exactly where these things will pan out. Now, let the campaign start. By the time the campaign starts, we'll be able to know the direction that INEC is going. There are published lists of those that will contest. In some areas, there are contentions. And I don't know. I don't know what they are waiting for. Take, for instance, let me give you one typical example, that of Yobe, where the Senate President comes from. The Electoral Act that was prepared by the Senate, by the National Assembly, and signed by the President was very clear on the issue of somebody picking two tickets at the same time. The Senate President contested for the presidential candidate of APC. Why will he come back to contest for senatorial seat again? And INEC is dilly-dallying. Now, INEC did not publish the name of Mechida that won that election. INEC did not publish the name of the Senate President. And they are saying they are waiting for court. Waiting for court to do what? When INEC has the powers to take decision on that issue based on the Electoral Act. The Electoral Act has given INEC powers. So that's where our fears come from. Because INEC that has powers to perform is now relegating its powers to the court. Who knows what is going to happen? The incoming administration is going to have a big challenge, no matter who that person is. I just pray that the country will be smart enough, the youth will be smart enough to vote in a candidate that can weather the storm. Because as we speak, the country is in dire need of a leader that can steer the ship. For instance, I'll give you a typical example of what I'm saying. The first quarter of this year, the Bureau of Statistics of this nation, National Bureau of Statistics, did tell us that the debt profile of the country is 45.5 trillion naira as we speak. And from feelers we are getting today, by the time this administration will be rounding up with the additional money they are asking for, we shall be having over 60 trillion as the debt profile of the country. The first quarter of this year alone, the IGR of the country was 1.6 trillion, and the country had to pay debts of 1.9 trillion. That tells us that 300 billion was borrowed to pay debts. I think it was in February that the governor of Edo State told the nation that the government is using ways and means to pay its local debts. What that simply means is that government is printing money to pay its debts. And this country, the Syrian governor and the finance minister said it was a lie. But just last month, a former deputy governor of the central bank, who is a presidential candidate in the incoming election, told the nation point blank that government has been printing money to service its local debts. Now, if anybody knows the ABC of economics, that's the worst any economy can do. Now, printing money to pay your debts and borrowing money to pay salaries. So the country is broke. That is the ABC of it. Now, anybody that does not know that this country is broke, well, needs his head examined. Honestly, I don't know how the incoming government is going to start. And the government is not abating, it's borrowing more money. The question is, and there are no, means of paying these loans. This is the first time in the history of Nigeria that a country, an oil-producing country, will be fighting war and there's no windfall. Now, we are supposed to get windfall from the Russia-Ukrainian war. Rather than getting windfall, we are suffering more. We are paying more for PMS, we are paying more for Jet A1, we are paying more for AGO. Today, a pump price of fuel is about 109 in Lagos alone. In some areas in Lagos, it's about 180. In other states of the federation, it's over 200 naira per liter. Jet A1 is over 1,000 naira. AGO is over 1,000 naira. These were areas that with the windfall would have been paying less for them. Take for instance countries like Saudi Arabia. Today they are building a new city from the windfall they got from the windfall in Ukraine. Angola today their currency is stronger than the dollar because of the money they are saving from these windfall. And we are now grappling with extreme poverty, the poverty capital of the world. And you see, the funny aspect was that the Minister of Finance did say the other day that when the price of crude went above $17 per barrel, it created problem for the economy. And this was the same government that was telling us that since they came in, that oil has not gone over $100 per barrel. That's why the economy is going down. Now oil is about $130 per barrel. And instead of now improvement, we are depreciating. This is one of the economies in the world that has what economists call stagflation. What is stagflation? It's simple. An economy that has inflation and depression at the same time. So I don't know how the incoming government will start from. I don't know where they're going to start from, brother. It's only God that will see that person through, because this economy has been mismanaged. I was listening to the president 2 days ago or yesterday when he was addressing United Nations and he was asking for debt forgiveness. My question is that why he was borrowing money? He was borrowing money so that they will cancel debts? You see, so when some of these things happen, when Obasanjo asked for debt forgiveness or writing off our debts or debt swap, it was because the advanced countries saw means of his making money for the economy. But now, our oil is nowhere. They are stealing the oil, and the people that are stealing the oil are the people that are kept in charge of the oil. That's the unfortunate thing. So this issue of telling us that there are kegs of oil in churches and mosques, that they can tell that to the Marines. The truth is that the NNPC that saddled with that responsibility is stealing the oil and selling them abroad. And there are cases, one of the ships was caught abroad. Didn't that ship pass the shores of Nigeria? Do they know the number of trucks that go to West African countries or these surrounding francophone countries like Niger, Cameroon, and Cotonou every night? And they are here telling stories of how many barrels of oil that they are missing. They are now paying this man 4 billion every month. Is it every month or whatever to take care of our the vandalization? What's his name again? I think Tompolo, yes. And they are creating another problem with Tompolo because what do you call him now? Is coming out to say, look, you cannot give everything to Tompolo alone. So there are going to be real fight in that area. But the question is, this was a man that this administration came and arrested and said he was vandalizing the pipelines. And you are now saddling him with the responsibility of watching the same thing he's vandalizing. Don't forget, he's not the only militant vandalizing the pipeline. So what do you expect? It means that the money we have been spending buying weapons for our military and for the security, other security apparatus is wasted venture. This is the worst that can happen to any nation. May Nigeria not happen to anybody. My advice to every Nigerian is you must get your PVC and you must vote the right candidate. It is not about being their turn or about contesting for so many years. It's about the candidate that has the credibility, the candidate that has shown tenacity, the candidate that has shown that he's capable to control this economy, the candidate that has run businesses and you have seen what he has done, the government that has handled a state before and you have seen how effectively and efficiently he managed the economy of that state. No matter where that person is. This is not the time to think of ethnicity and tribalism or religious sentiment. This is the time for us to look at that credible candidate that is young and capable, not our grandfathers. Our grandfathers should be left out of these 2023 elections. We must look for somebody that is vibrant, agile, and able and capable to vote in. Nigerians are moving in droves outside the country. Go to the airports every day. You know the number of Nigerians that have moved. More than 650 Nigerian doctors were registered in UK recently. Maybe in the next 2-3 years, if they continue like this, we'll be left with native doctors.